came to be known as a year of confusion. At that time, they lost 451 days. They don't know what they had before because they had people called pontiffs. If you're Catholic or understand the Catholic religion, they call pontifical mass. The pontiff were those elitists, just like we have people in the so-called Congress and all now, that it was their duty to keep up with time. And they found out that not only had they been fighting so many wars, because this was during the expansion of the Roman Empire, but they forgot to keep up with dates and times. They had amassed so many people that they had slaughtered and captured, was now serving in the Roman army, they didn't even know what time it was. So they just guessed at a time, and then later on you had Pope Gregory, you had Pope Julian. Both of these were men in the cloth, as they call them, the Catholic cross. I will not denounce the Catholic cross, I just simply say it's from the Catholics that we had the Inquisition, where you wound up with 30 million people on the earth being tortured and killed. 30 million people. So I simply say whatever they set in was believed in, and they influenced everybody on this planet. You talk now about time immemorial, and you talk about ancient times, and when they say ancient times, they go back to 2300 BC, they go back to 6000 BC, and then they say that's ancient history, because that's BC. Actually it should be BCE, before the Christian era. Doesn't mean that there was no time, doesn't mean that nothing was going on, but the people there were so dumb, and had fought so many wars and burned so many books and killed so many teachers, till they had to pick up the pieces. So I want to start back with a little bit of history. And yes, they did say I call it galactic showdown, because the galactic we think of as a large body. I even think more than galactic, it's a cosmic showdown. I have a tape out called The Cosmos. It's a mind blower. At that time it was the best I could do, but I'm proud of what I did. But let's kind of take a little trip in history now. We'll run through it kind of briefly. If you go past 10,000 BCE, you're in speculative history. I have a tape out, a 7-tape series about what I consider the black look at history, or black history, and I start out 500,000 BCE, or 500,000 years before the Christian era. That has got to be called undocumented, because none of the universities, none of the so-called educated masses of people that study under these august professors and so will believe in that. To say the best they're going to go back is 10,000 and speculate. Yet they found Lucy, heard of Lucy, right? Mm-hmm. And how old was Lucy supposed to be? Anybody remember?
1 million.
How old? 100. All right. If that's the case, then somebody that looked humanoid with a skull was around at that particular time. But now hear this one. They have recently found a natural cyclotron, a natural generator of energy. And they carbon dated, and then they couldn't, the carbon wouldn't work, so then they said 400,000 to 500,000 years old. Now, how can you get a natural nuclear reaction? First of all, I don't know what a natural nuclear reactor is unless it's the sun. Now, I can understand that one. But now, and I'll give you this to start off with some lightweight and heavyweight, some good things and bad things. Since we're going to go into some bad things, let's go to good things. They're now finding that that was found in Gabon, West Africa. And what's interesting about that, this natural nuclear reactor, I'm saying, what do they mean? What are they saying? What do they find there? Just about a month and a half ago, I started to read that there are ions of energy, magnetic in quality, that are coming out of Gabon, West Africa. How many knew about that? It's coming up out of the ground. It's over a 5-mile area, which means probably 10 miles area, because I never believe anything I read in the press, but I do believe a little bit that I see on the internet, and it corresponded with this other thing that I'd heard before about there being a natural nuclear reactor. If there is a natural nuclear reactor, they probably found it because they could see this energy coming about. They could feel it. The birds were flocking to it, which it didn't kill them, but they found that a lot of alligators and things came in that, it was killing them. And they said, wow, isn't that something to see? And this energy is coming up in a magnetic quality. It registers intense magnetism. And as it came up, it went out into what is called the atmosphere, which is divided into 7 layers, which means that either from the ionosphere and troposphere, this thing was going up to the outer reaches of the air around Earth and spreading out. You say, wow, what's that all about? Then I hear about satellites crashing. I hear about a satellite about to go. The old Russian satellite been up there going. The United States satellite been up there going. England and France put one up, didn't stay up any time. It starts crashing down. And they're talking about now, it may come, some of these satellites may come down over municipalities, over area where people live. I'm saying, why are all these satellites? Then I begin to do the rest of the study. That everything, this government and the world governments now controlled by what we call the globalists, use electricity as a means for everything. And electricity and magnetism are the best of friends. It's just that magnetism wipes out the electricity. It's no contest. Why? Because electricity is slowed down magnetism. Electricity comes from magnetism. It's the lower portion of a spectrum. And then I began to think, most of our problems come from a lower problem of a spectrum, a lower vibration, not the original vibration, but something lower. We talk about original. We talk about orgon. We talk about organic. We talk about orgasm. We talk about org. And that's what the pyramids did. They generated org energy to keep original people and original magnetism and spiritualism going on the planet. So we may have now part of the planet beginning to return. I don't believe this. It is me. We'll try and turn this off. You know, it's easy to turn this thing off too. You know how? Put the battery out and throw it away. We never turn this off. We're going to get to that too. It's always on. You can't turn it off unless you take the battery out. So I say now, what could be going on here? And I think what's going on here is that we have a planet fighting back. If we have a planet fighting back, we have to ask, what is the planet fighting? The planet is fighting everything that anybody that's spiritual, there's anybody that's oppressed and suppressed, that anybody that has to eat terminated food, that farmers that grow terminated food and try to get it to a food that will come up and grow in seeds like it used to, they have to report to a government official and buy some more. That people who live in cities are being smothered each day by biochemtrails and nobody knows where the planes originate. That people who want self-government are giving self-rule and starting to topple over governments and so like this. That people, again, who are getting shots and vaccinating are dying because they're getting pus in their veins. The planet is fighting back for you. They don't want you to know that the planet is fighting back for you. So I'm starting off with the best part first. Then we'll work back to the cause. This is now happening simply because in 312 BC, I'm sorry, not 312 BC, yeah, 312 BC, they had an attack, some say it's about 332, when Alexander the Macedonian came in and destroyed the last vestige of spiritual life on this planet, and we've fighting back ever since. We call him Alexander the Great. He was from Macedonia. There was nothing great about it. He couldn't read, he couldn't write. He was not Sir William Burton playing the role in Shakespeare. They were people that the Chinese had set up a wall against, that people had feared for the longest. And when they came in, they could not read, they could not write. Nobody knows where they came from other than they came from the Caucasoids, and they came out from the area of very cold called the Netherlands, and then came in and began to sack and write. And if you heard the term, it's Greek for me, they're called Greeks. They say the term Greek to me because they spoke a language that nobody understood, but they knew one thing: they could kill quickly and they could kill thoroughly, and they were barbarians. Consequently, the term is Greek to me because they tried to speak to them, but they know if they didn't get, they weren't going to stay alive long around these Greeks if it didn't go that way. When the Greeks came in, they sacked a place called Persepolis. This was a place where it had great architecture, it had great monuments, it had a style of living and so. And then they came in and built the Alexandrian Museum and Library. Now, if you can't read, if you can't write, if you have no religion, why would you build a library? And of course that means that there was something there before. What they did was to sack a people. They killed the people in Persepolis who weren't even, they were artisans, they were not fighters, they built and they designed things again. And then they renamed the Temple of On into the Alexandrian Library. And it took them 2 generations